Welcome to Marty's Garden, a place where you can learn how to grow fresh food, organic food, sustainably in your backyard. G'day my friends, Marty Ware here from the Marty's Garden Show. Thanks for coming to watch another video, and hopefully you've been following along and you've subscribed to my channel so you don't miss any of the cool videos coming up and the story of Marty's Garden, the teachings that are going on here, learning how to grow fresh food at home in your urban space organically and sustainably. And what I'm doing is I'm working a lot with worms and compost, because the bottom of it all is you've got to have a good composted material. A good humus material for the plants to grow in, the microbes and the fungi and everything to just go crazy, so you get optimum growth, optimum flavour and the best plants around. So your friends looking at it going, oh, how did you do that? Well, it's very, very possible. So what I'm doing is I'm actually working on, again, my future goal, getting back into micro farming. And it's taken a while because I broke my leg about 3 months ago, just below my knee surfing, and it hurt, really hurt. And then we had a heat wave come through, and I had worms outside, and luckily I had a whole lot of worms in 3 worm farms with about 8 trays all up, and I was able to keep them alive. And then go out and start harvesting the castings and move them out into the larger worm farm. So watch the video, keep following this story as my micro farm evolves, and watch how I'm doing it. And you might want to implement something like this on a larger scale or smaller scale, or you're just interested in what's going on. It's pretty good fun. It's coming to you straight from my place in Australia. So now that the worms are building up population underneath this cover here and in this windrow, you can see because it stopped raining, they've sort of like bailed out from being underneath these piles here, but look, you can just see them there. So I moved it, and look at all those castings underneath that thing. They're really moving through that material very quickly and laying their eggs. So what I want to do is get some hessian mat underneath these piles and then cover them over with the cloth again. So I've got to hunt down some hessian from some coffee sellers. Now I'm creating the second row here. Now this second row here is still a bit hot, and you can see there's coffee on top, and then I've got the sugar cane here, and then I've put some coffee up the side up here as well. The coffee makes a bit of a crust and they get underneath it, but I would say this pile's still a bit warm, and I'll slowly move across from this pile to this pile and then start filling up and breeding in this area, laying eggs and turning this into castings. Now I've got different piles here for different age groups and different materials put in. So this is pretty much mostly just sawdust, and it's got the coffee and a little bit of chicken manure and a little bit of wood chip and stuff left over from the other piles that were decomposing. And I like having that little bit in there because that helps the little fungi and things like that and the microbes and stuff to have little houses to attach themselves to. And here's the big pile. So I've half moved this big pile across here. So as we walk across this, it's really spongy. It's like walking on peat. It's just absolutely crazy. It's so hard to explain, this material, and that's one reason why I love it so much. Now I've started moving over some of the more older stuff into this newer pile over here, which is now becoming an extension of this one here, and I'll move down into that and start moving through that material. So I've still got tons of sawdust left, absolutely heaps of it, and I can get more of this. I wish I had a storage place to actually get the rest that I could get hold of. And down in here in the bag in here is some biochar, which I'm yet to use into the worm farms. And we come across, now what I want to show you here is, this is about a week old after being added with the coffee into it, and just look at the colour and the breakdown of it. It's just absolutely beautiful. Now it still feels, it's warm, it's getting hot because the nitrogen from the coffee is really breaking it down, and this will take about 3 weeks for it to get into, you'd say, well, a more of a decomposed stage where it'll end up starting to look more like this over here. which is more friable. It's still a bit dry, it needs more water added to it, but we haven't been getting enough rain. But you can see it's great material. And then over here is one's about 5 weeks old, and just absolutely just beautiful. Just needs a bit more moisture in it as well. And then it's going to be, this is going to be added onto this, which I just shown you a second ago, into this row, and then coming down here and allowing the worms to move through it freely. So you just saw the outdoor area where I'm working on scaling things up using pretty much just the sawdust, the chemical-free sawdust, and the coffee. And then I'm throwing in a few other things here and there, but basically that's the base of the bedding. Now what I'm doing is I'm covering over areas for the worms so they can repopulate and start moving through that, and I can harvest a very good compost. But before I do that, I need to release more worms into the situation there. Well, not a situation, into that outdoor area, so I can get them chewing through it more. The more worms I have in there, the more they're going to breed, the more eggs they're going to lay. So, let's go. So I've been working hard out in the backyard here, getting these worm farms sorted, getting it out on this table here. There's one tray of castings on there, literally thousands of worms, all going down deep so I can harvest from the top and put them into the buckets. And I've set them all up like this as well, so they'll go down deep and I can start harvesting from the top and then move them to the table and eventually move the worms out. Now, I'll give you an idea of what I've got here. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that's 6, hang on, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, that's 7 trays, 8 trays and a half there. Now, I'll just give you a bit of a look here. The Karen's on my camera, my lovely little camera girl, and just look at the amount of worms in here. They're all going down deep. I shouldn't have really been mixing them up because a lot of them have gone down deep, but I just wanted to show you, you know, what type of worm productivity I'm getting here in this. So I'm pretty happy with that because it wasn't really the success that I was looking for, but we're getting lots of castings, and all of these worms, well nearly all of them, are going to move out into the large holding compost area outside so they can work through the compost. They'll breed much better and they lay more eggs. Had lots of problems with these worm farms over the summer period of getting hot and getting cold and all different things going on. But overall, got a lot of castings and a lot of worms, so I can keep on working. So Karen and I started to harvest the worms, and we were going really fast. We wanted to get the camera out and get it on slow-mo and do all this really cool stuff to show you what was going on there behind the scenes as we were harvesting the worms and getting the castings. But this big storm was looming up, and there was a big thing on the map, and I was thinking, oh, we better just get it done. And so I was able to fill a whole lot of containers full of worm castings and the material out of the worm farms and separate nearly all the worms and let go about another 1,000 to 2,000 worms into that holding area outside before the rain came, which was pretty good. And look, I've got a whole big bucket of worms in here. There's probably about 5,000 worms in here, and we've got another 2 or 3, 2.5 of those ready to go out into the worm farms outside to the windrows and into the small worm farms as well to re-release them into there and repopulate as a holding area. So look, I'm running out of time here on this video, so what I want you to do is keep watching on. If you haven't subscribed already, subscribe so you can keep watching and watch this unfold as I make this compost and this type of worm castings and scale up with the worms. You know, I've got some problems, I'm still learning. I think it's a learning curve every day, this type of worm farming, and I'm really enjoying the experience. But as I said, subscribe so you can keep on watching. Watch any more videos I've got in here. I've got heaps of videos, like hundreds of them. You'll enjoy them, you'll learn lots of stuff from microgreens, worm farming, all types of gardening, growing tomatoes. Look, the list just goes on and on. So have a good flick through the channel, check it out inside, and we'll see you at the next video real soon. I've got an exciting one coming up in the very near future for a subscriber asking about growing just in 100% worm casting. So keep an eye out for that, guys. Have a great day. Happy gardening, and we'll see you at the next video real soon. Bye for now.